Good morning, everyone. So in the last class, we are trying to discuss with our MVC related example here. And today we'll try to identify, because yesterday we identified some of the exceptions here. So those exceptions we'll try to resolve. First, the exception we identified while working with the form validation here, we could not get the validation here. So the validation here I identified. So when we are talking about this particular jar, so when we are adding the Hibernate validated here, now what happens internally? So we need to work with Hibernate related specific jars here. So for example, so once we clean and build this particular current project here, we'll identify what kind of jars we need to add here. Now you can see if I'm going to run this particular application one more time here, in the customer class, the previous class we created size annotation. This size is coming from the javax.validation, and now I added not empty. Not empty. So what is error we are getting here? Okay, maybe. So this is related to, but observe carefully here. Here in the previous class we identified size annotation. So this size annotation is coming from the where? Now if you want to understand here, now you can see the size is coming from the javax.constraints here. Getting the point? Not empty. Not empty is coming from the Hibernate validator. So see the difference here. Basically, internally, if I'm going to open here and Hibernate internally it is expecting the same size annotation here, the size is coming from the javax.validation. But now the same javax.validation, if I'm going to add in our class, so this is not working here. But I changed to the not empty here. But internally, not empty also is expecting the same size annotation here. Getting the point? So we'll see how this particular not empty and email not blank here. So these are the some annotations. So if you understand here where this particular annotation is implemented, so these are the remaining annotation we need to focus here. So email, not blank, not empty, and we can go for the range here. So instead of size, we can define the range here. So range is implemented in our Hibernate here. Getting the point? And so if we want to work with any credit card number, we can go for the one more annotation we are having here, something another one URL related here. Getting the point? So just here we are making the validation on the field level here. So we don't want to add the other annotations here. So now observe, if I'm going to click on this particular new customer and click on save here. Now you can see this application is not moving anywhere. This application is not moving anywhere. So successfully we are able to see the particular message here. So address may not be empty and name may not be empty. So if we want to override this particular validation here, now what we can do, we need to define the message resource. Inside the message resource, you can define the approximately like message, like what is the message we implemented, something like customer name must be 3 and 20 characters here. Getting the point? So basically, this is the problem we identified. Because of this particular size annotation, yesterday we could not get the validation. So other than this, I'm not adding any value here, only not empty and the not blank here. Getting the point? So the same example, now what we will do, we'll connect with the 4 version here. Getting the point? So we'll connect with the same 4 version here. So we'll identify in the 4 version how it is working here, because now we are working in the 3 versions here. Here, the current example we are discussing here, Spring related 3 versions here. The same example, we'll try to find out in a 4 version here, how the 4 version is going to work. Getting the point? So let's see, we'll try to connect with the 4 version. So in the 4 version, I want to close others here. Now you can see here what we are doing here. All we added Hibernate 4 and Starlet also 4 here, and Spring also we are having 4 version here. Getting the point. So we'll try to identify the same example here, how it's going to work. So in this case, now what we can do, we'll need to identify I copied all the information here. We'll try to run the same example. We'll see. So what is the errors we are going to get? We'll try to rectify those errors here. Okay. So which is expecting JOXB exception. Now we'll try to copy from here the JOXB jars here. Okay. So these are the jars I'm going to add in our Spring MVC. Okay. So once it is validated, we'll try to run application one more time here. Click on finish. So here we are having customer service IMPL. So maybe something we are missing here. Something customer UI MPL Hibernate template 3. Okay. Here we are having Hibernate template 3, but we need to work on the Hibernate template 4 here. Let me change here. Hibernate template 4 only we are having. But why? So this one is taken as a okay, Spring MVC only. Hibernate template 4, session factory 4. Okay, let me we'll try with one more time here. So why this particular error we are getting here? Because of whatever the information we are having, all are having with version 4 only. Hibernate template 3, no such bean definition. Okay, maybe so it's because of this particular class here. If I'm going to open database IMPL, here we are working with 3. So this is we are having an issue. Let me run with one more time here. Now observe, we are getting the UI page here. So click on new customer here. What we added inside this particular customer class, we need to see first. Okay, now, so we'll identify whether we are getting validation or not. So here also we are getting the validation. But what I need to write here, I don't want to define this particular not empty and email not blank here. So without adding this, we need to identify whether we are getting the same exception, like the same validation message or not. Because in the Hibernate 4, Hibernate and Spring 4, so it is not mandatory like a Hibernate related. We can go for the same here. Okay, no, we are not getting anything here. So flash mode. Maybe Hibernate system exception. What is the exception we are getting here? Active transaction. That flush mode is value not active transaction. So to active transaction, what are the information we made here? Like first what we will do, so we'll define the message properties. Inside the resource here, messages dot properties here, and inside this particular message dot property, now what I want to write here, customer name and email address. Here I want to define name entered is invalid. It must be okay. So this is all about the name here, customer dot email dot, what we can add here, invalid. Invalid email, please enter the valid email, and customer dot address empty. Here the information we can add, address is invalid. Now what we can do, we'll go for the same here. Inside this particular size here, we'll keep as it is, but inside this particular message, now what we can do, this message we can read from the message property. Customer name empty. Okay, and 1 2, either we can make 1, here we can make 2, and email. So instead of pattern here, for this we can go for the email here. Okay, so this is all about this particular message section here. Instead of size here, we can go for the not empty here. Right. So we implemented these sections information. So whenever we are implementing, now what we can do, we need to write the message information here. So how this particular message is going to load here. Getting the point. So to load this particular message, what are the steps we need to write? We'll see without adding this particular message section, what is the information we are going to get. Click on new customer here. So customer address not empty here. Now what you are understanding here? So whatever the value we provided here, value getting, but what is the value we are expecting here? This we are expecting here. Getting the point. So this is we are expecting here. Now what we can do? Now we need to define the resource information here. Inside this particular bean class, we need to go for the one resource bundle here. Bean ID message resource here, and class we can define here. What is the class we need to define? In the Spring framework, we are having one class called resource bundle message source here. Now you can see, so this is we need to add here. We are working on the 4 to 9. So we need to enable this particular class here. And where is our class here? And the package information. Now if you understand here, which is expecting one base name here. Here it is expecting base names here. So it is string array here. Now simply we can add one property here. So what is the property we can add here? Getting the point. Here what exactly the property we can add here? Name of our message information. Something called messages. Sorry, message only. The name of the property file we need to define here. Right. So once we define this particular property, so this particular property is going to load information here. So back to here, now what we can do, again we can go for the same here. Inside this particular customer, and I want to define as the same for this. Name as well. Now we'll try to run the same example. If I'm going to click this particular new customer, now what are the messages we can get? Okay, so still we are getting the name property here. Where is that configuration file here? Now what we can do, so instead of this particular value, we'll keep message.properties here. Okay, click on this. No. So why this particular property is not loading? Anything we are missing? So basically it is stopping the validation here, but finally whatever the message we provided here, we are expecting this particular message here. Now we'll see where we defined here inside the resource only. So it's nothing but we define in our class path only. Okay. Okay, we'll go for the our controller class. Here what is the annotation we are using? We'll go for the valid. Let's see. We'll try to run one more time here. No. The valid also, it's giving the same. Any naming convention we are missing. MESSHGG. Okay. User form binding result and CSS class. Okay. Maybe let's see. What is the name of the file? New customer JSP. We are having error path as well. Okay. Success.jsp and message resource bundle, message resource and okay. So here we need to work on the one more here. So let me add bean ID, something called local validator. And here we need to work on the one more class here that is called local validator factory bean, and we need to work on this particular 4 version, and so which is coming from the which package, bean validation here. Finally, and here if you observe, which is expecting message source here, like a mapping location validation message source, where we are having message interrupt validation. Yes, now you can see here it is expecting message source here. So we need to pass here. Getting the point. So validation message source here. Now we'll see where is the validation message property we are having. Factory constant mapping resource validation property. So it is a setter method called validation property. Name of the property validation message source, and we can go for ref, and here provide the message source here. Let me identify. So this is the validator message interrupter. Okay, we'll see if the property is giving an error. We'll change the property here, because the appropriate name of the property we are not finding here, but only we are having setter method here. So directly if you observe here, we are having validation message source here, but we'll see now, right? So here we are having the property is expecting validation message source. So this the validation message source is not available here, the resource bundle locator, right? Now we need to change this particular property with this is the name which is available inside this particular class. No, so this is also not identifying here. Failed to convert the value resource message type, message interrupted, right? Okay, so instead of doing this, so we'll go for the object creation manually, and we can provide this particular auto valid here. Basically, we'll create object this local validation factory bean, and we can set this particular object information to the message resource here. How we can set this particular message resource object here? Any idea? Okay, so to create this particular manual configuration, so the steps we need to add like this here. We'll go for the we'll create a one more class, I think. So otherwise, what we can do, this example we can discuss with our annotation style here. So in the annotation style directly, we can create this particular class here. So this is our good option. Let me create a configuration class. So Spring MVC configuration. And so what we can do here, we'll try to create all the classes here. We already identified here configuration annotation, so which is going to provide the XML configuration format here. And here one more here, when we see this is we need to enable, because we are going to work with MVC related application. And the another one we already identified, component scan. So here base packages. So what is our base package we need to specify here? com.spring.mvc. Right. And this is all about our configuration. Now what we will do, we'll copy all the previous example information like Hibernate configuration classes, local session factory bean, and transaction into this current class here, and we'll enable Hibernate template as well. We'll go for the 4, and so Hibernate transaction also we need to go for the 4, local session factory 4. So component scan, auto-write data source. Finally, what is the file we need to copy? Hibernate properties. And Hibernate properties I'm copying inside this particular resource. So one more information we need to copy, property source. And okay, only property is enough. Later we'll see. Okay, we'll also copy. Again, we'll get an exception. Right. So these are the main information. Now what I need to write here. So those message resource information. Let me copy where we define the message information. This is the class. Close this particular class. Message resource. Message source here. Right. And let me import this particular class. Source dot set base name here. What is the base name we need to provide? Message. Return source. And keep as a bean annotation. Right. And other than this, now we identified, we can go for the one more. Validator. So what is a validator we need to identify here? Spring related validator. So validation dot validator. And finally, local validator factory bean. Validator dot. So what is the name we are having here? Validation message source. Where is the message source here? Message source here. And return Okay. So we'll see. This is all about the local session factory bin, Hibernate template, manager, message source. So what is the final steps we need to add here? And here we need to go for the internal resource view resolver. And template we added already. So transaction manager, local session factory bin, and data source. So these are the section we added. Only we need to add internal resource view resolver. So to add this particular internal resource, now what we can do? So public here, internal resource view resolver, and resolver dot. So set prefix we are having here. So what is the prefix we need to add here? The prefix we need to add, this is the value section, and the suffix we need to add here, .jsp return resolver. So bean, right. So these are the main configuration we identified. Like as of now, whatever the configuration we implemented in our XML configuration, all information we implemented into the annotation style here. Getting the point. So annotation we provided, context also we provided, message resource we provided here. So transaction, the transaction also we provided, enable transaction here, and this particular validator and internal resource Hibernate template. Now what we need to write here, because so here we are discussing with our web.xml. Getting the point. Here we are discussing about the web.xml. Now, so whenever we are trying to work for this particular web.xml, what are the configuration we need to write? Getting the point. So what are the configuration we need to write? And here inside this particular same package, I'm going to create one more class here. What is the name of the class I'm going to create here? Like Spring MVC App Initializer. Getting the point. So this particular App Initializer, which is going to extend from the abstract annotation config dispatcher servlet initializer. Getting the point. So we are trying to work with the annotation style here. We need to extend from this particular dispatcher servlet initializer class. Getting the point. And here we need to provide the root, like what we can call it as a request API, like how we are going to communicate with our application. The URL pattern, here we need to define the URL pattern like this here. So I'm trying to handle with slash here. Any request we are going to receive, so we need to handle this particular class called Spring MVC App Initializer. Right, and our servlet config classes here. So new class. As of now, what is the class we created here? Something called MVC configuration. This particular MVC configuration we need to extend from the web MVC configure adapter. Right, now I want to add this particular class here. Getting the point. So these are the main classes we need to add here. And now you can see where we define this particular, what we can call it as a validator class here. So let me run this particular application. Customer controller. What is the exception we are getting here? Get Hibernate template. Okay. Okay, file not found. Basically, this particular file we are not getting employee here. So we are not working with employee here. We are trying to work on the customer object, right? Now, where is our resource class? Let me go to our MVC application. Customer.hbm file here, because we copy from the previous example. So we did not change the employee.hbm file. What is one more exception here? No qualifying bean type session factory is defined here. Okay, session factory and get session factory. So why we are getting two here? Local session factory bean only one. Any other? Anything we implemented in our customer UIMPL? No. Only session factory. Where is the class? So maybe this also one is staking and another one session factory. Maybe this. Let's see how we are getting two here. Session factory and get session factory. No qualifying bean type call session factory. Okay, so instead of this, we can go for we'll change this one also as a session factory. So if you observe the same example, we copy from the previous example, like what we discussed in our Hibernate and JDBC, but we could not get any exception here. But now we are getting an exception. Okay, now local validator we are getting here. Failed to convert the resource bundle resource to the message interrupter. Required the type call message interceptor property. Okay. So again, which is expecting message interceptor here. No convent to support. Cannot convert value type resource bundle. Okay. So message interceptor is expecting, but to the property they're given as a message source here. how this particular, okay. So let's see, we'll try to change. Based on this particular local class is expecting message source, but internally again is trying to find out the message interceptor information. So to create this particular message interceptor, now what are the configuration we need to write here? So we'll try to identify here. Okay. So maybe here we are having some confusion regarding this particular bean. So this intercept also is expecting message interceptor, and the second one is expecting message source here. And if I want to change here, again we need to change the message source here. Let's see what is the information we are having. Basically, it is an interface here. Okay, Fibernet properties. What we can do, instead of doing these many information, so we can write here. Let me comment out this. So we'll identify with application like Hibernate properties here. Where is our controller customer class? Okay. So we'll see with help of this particular annotation, we change the properties information into the Hibernate.property file. So the property file also is going to take same thing like key and value pair here. Again, why we are getting local validator? Okay, is taking from this. Okay, right. Now what we can do, we'll delete this particular file and web.xml also. Because we changed the annotation configuration, so we don't want to work with XML. So again, which is trying to load from the XML, request to mapping handler. Fail to instantiate. What happened today? Resource bundle locator. No class definition. Okay. So we need to add this particular jar here. This particular resource bundle locator we are not finding here. Now we'll try to find out. Load this particular jar here. What is the jar we need to add? This is okay. Let me run one more time. Oh, still the class is not identified. So we're having here, but why this particular class is not loading? Maybe the implementation classes is not available, I guess. So we'll go for the one more jar here. Hibernate engine. This problem is due to validation API Hibernate validator. So on it, we are having validator and validation API we don't have. Okay, not this one. What is the implementation class of this particular method validator? Maybe it is version conflict here. Okay, we'll build one time. We'll see. It is because of, I guess, like a validation version information. Okay. No, it's not working. MVC URL component contributor. Still we are getting this. Where this particular interface is available. So what is the error? Getting same org Hibernate validator SPI. Okay. So this is expecting a SPI resource loading resource binding located, but currently we are having a, so this is the package here. So this is because of this particular version here. Okay. Now you can see we are having the class, the interface here, but still it is trying to load from the SPI resource loading. But here now we don't have a SPI related package here. Inside this particular Hibernate validator, we don't have. Now what we can do, we'll try to change this particular version here. Where is our Hibernate validator? I think here. We'll go for the 510. Okay, it's because of this particular core version. We need to identify from this particular Maven library, Hibernate validator. Yes. So we'll see SPI resource loading. Okay, now we are having this particular SPI resource class. We'll find out with, we'll see the same exception we are going to get, any other exceptions we are going to get. So it's because of our some version information we are getting these many exceptions here. So now you can see, so finally without any XML configuration here, without any XML configuration, we are trying to load our application. Getting the point? So sometimes here we need to focus the versions, the dependents jobs we need to provide proper version here. So if I'm not providing here, so we are identified how many exceptions we are getting here. So these many exceptions we are going to get. Now we can see the expected message also we are able to see. Getting the point? So this message we provided in our message.property file here. And so why I'm providing this particular message information in the property file? In any upcoming requirement here, instead of changing in our class level, so directly we can go for the property file and we can change the property file. So wherever we are going to use the same, the particular key, for example, if I'm trying to use this particular key in a 10 location, Getting the pen. This particular key, I need to change in the 10 locations. Whenever I want to change this particular message, I want to change in the 10 location. So instead of changing the 10 location, now what is the advantage we are going to get? We can create a one property file. Getting the pen. So we can change in the single property. So it will affect it into the all locations here. It will affect it into the all locations here. So this is the one advantage we are going to get whenever we are trying to work from the property file. So you may see this kind of property file in a real-time example, multiple properties here. So one for database, one for service classes, getting the pen, and one for cache related example. So one another for some we identify validations, and another property file we are going to work on the so message converter, like a language converter, one language into the another language if you want to convert any message. So there also we are going to create one more file here, right? So this is we need to focus here, and one more we need to understand here. If I'm not adding any information, so directly it is giving a this particular validation information, and this particular the request is not moving anywhere. So it is stopping here, right? Now what we can do, so yesterday we identified one more example on the REST APIs. Whenever we are trying to working with the REST API related example, so using controller with the response body here. Getting the point. If I'm not using this particular response body, what happening internally? So we need to return either the particular JSP page, or we can go for the model and view object here. So currently now what we are doing here, let's see where is our controller class. I'm not sure. So now you can see here we are trying to returning model and view, and sometimes we are returning only the particular logical view name is nothing but the appropriate JSP page here. So when we are trying to work from the REST API related example here, we are not going to work from the like model and view or this particular logical view name. So here we are going to return the objects here. So whatever the object we are going to perform, so those object information we are going to return with the help of the some format here. So either we can go for the XML format or we can go for the JSON format here. So whatever the format we want to return here, so we need to add those dependencies, and we can work on the REST APIs example. Getting the point. So for example here, now what is the controller class we created here? Home controller here. With the help of this particular home controller, now I'm going to send in a request to find out all the customer information, like whatever the customer we store in our database. So those information here. So we'll try to work on like we'll use this particular Postman tool here to communicate with our REST API related example. Getting the point. So yesterday we discussed about these are the example here. Now if I'm going to send in a request here, again we are getting a 404 error. Again we are getting a 404 error here. So why we are getting this particular 404 error here? We are not seeing any request here. Now what we need to change here? If we go to this particular class here, what is the class we are working here? Spring MVC here. But we are now sending a request to the core 07 here. Core 07. Getting the point. Now if you observe here, if I'm going to send any request here, we'll identify in the console some information here. So using this particular information, we can see whether this particular request is received to our application or not. Right. Now if I'm trying to send here, observe here, we're able to see some information here. So how we are getting here? So the request here is communicating with our application, and this is our SQL query is generated to find out the customer related information, so which we store in our database here. So what are the information we store here? So to find out this particular information, now what we can do? So select star from hb.customer. How many records we are having? So these many records we are going to return here. Now if you can see, empty record is created. So this particular empty record we created in our yesterday example, because we could not understand handle the validations here. Now you can see if I'm trying to send a empty messages, so it is not allowing here. Getting the point? And here the empty record also is returned here. So 27 name, email address are empty, only the ID, and remaining we are having a record. Only the 4 record we are having, the 4 records we are able to see. Getting the point? So this is all about the REST API example here. So to communicate with the REST API, what are the changes we need to make here? First, we need to work on the controller. Whenever we are trying to work with the controller, we need to provide the response body. If I'm not providing the response body, we identified again what we are going to get here. So let's see if I'm trying to save the same example here. So I'm not using the response body annotation. I'm trying to run from the same example. If you observe, so we are trying to work from the 4 version related example here. These are the example we are working with the 4 versions. So because of this particular 4 version, we are not building, getting the point. So multiple times we are not building the application. If we identify, we are not getting any ASW, the particular exception we identified when we are trying to work from the core 07. So why we are getting the core 07 exception? Because we are working with 3 versions here. The 3 versions is not going to supported by the version 10 here. Because of that, we are getting an exception. Okay, now back to your home controller. Inside this particular home controller, I removed the response body. Again, I'm trying to send in a request. So let's see what exactly the exception we are going to get here. Okay, now you can see 404 we are getting again. Again we are getting 404. So the same application here. So Spring MVC, the same URL we are trying to communicate here because we are getting a 404. Now what you are understanding here, whenever we are trying to work REST API related example, either we can go for the REST controller or we can go for the controller with the response body. Now I'm trying to work for the REST controller. The same example we will see with the REST controller here. I want to start application one more time here. Okay, I'm trying to clear console here. Later we'll send in a same request here. Now you can see, so whatever the output we identified here, the same output we are getting here. Getting the point? Now what you understand here? So the REST controller is a combination of controller with a response body. So this is we need to understand here. So instead of working with the controller with the response body, now what we can do? We can go for the REST controller and we can return the whatever the object we want to return. So simply we are trying to return list of customer objects here. Yeah, I'm not adding any other information here. Getting the point? So this is very important. We need to understand the REST API, the single example, and loading all the customer object information with the help of the which method we are using here, get method. So for example, instead of this particular get method, if I'm going to send a request with a post here, now you can see what is the error we are getting here. So STPP 405. So this particular method is not going to allow. Because we implemented with get here, we are trying to work from the post here. Now you can see we are getting a warning message here. We are getting a warning message indicating the post is not supported here. Okay, now so to work with this particular post here, now what we can do, we'll work on the same here, and I want to enable this example. So this is the copy from the previous class example here. Right, and here we don't want to work with this particular binding result and everything, and here this is also we don't need, and simply we are going to work on the save object here, and later we can go for this particular ID request param. So path variable here ID, and so this is also we are not going to work with the model and view. We'll go for the customer here, and here return customer. Delete customer here. So whatever the object we are going to delete, so what is returning here? Maybe we are not returning anything, so directly okay. For this particular delete, we cannot identify the object information. Let's see what are the information we implemented in our DO class. Here, this particular delete is trying to return which type. Okay, it is a void information. So with a void, we cannot find out the much information here. Now what we can do? Simply again we can go for the load all the object information. So with help of this particular load object here, we'll try to see whether the object is deleted or not. Okay. For this, yes. So we can remove the response body from the code. Basically, it is a combination of control and response body. Controller, basically it's going to expecting the logical view name. The logical view name we are going to specify either model and view object, or directly we are going to return the logical view name here. But whenever we are providing the response body, the controller is not going to check with the logical view name here. So instead of checking the logical view name, so whatever the object we are trying to return, the particular object will return here. Okay, so back to here, we'll return this particular customer object here. So we'll see void I want to make. And these all about the objects here. These all about our objects here. And finally, I want to make ID. Save customer also, it's returning void. Whatever the customer we are trying to save, we'll return same object here. Okay, so this is all about the all the example we implemented. Request body. So I want to run this particular example. So something we are getting an exception. Request to mapping. Okay, we are having same here. Save customer, edit save customer. Like in the controller class also. Sorry. In the controller class also we are having same customer and edit customer. Okay. Now we need to change this information here. So we can go for the save, and basically we don't need this, but we'll keep as it is. Okay. One API is enough here to work on the object saving here. Okay. This example is, now we identify the particular loading all the object information. Now what I want to write here, we want to save an object here. So how we can go for this particular save here, and I don't want to give ID. Getting the point. If I'm going to give ID, what happens internally? The record is going to update it here. So JSON, all information we can make as a JSON. Getting the point? So that we can understand here whether this particular object is saved into the database or not. Getting the point? Now if you observe carefully, so this section will provide the response information. This section will provide the request information. How we are getting the request here? Whenever we click on this particular post method here, internally we are going to have body, and so we can go for these many types of the body is going to support it. Now we are trying to working with a JSON format here. Now we given as a in the JSON format here. Okay, let me send this particular request here. Now what happening internally, we are getting a big exception here. Now you need to read this particular exception and we need to understand here. So why we are getting an exception here? Getting the point? Now you can see like message request processing failed here, Hibernate Hibernate system exception here. So why we are getting this particular exception here? So we need to identify because of any is not active with the current transaction. Is not active with the current transaction here. Basically, so this example we are trying to see multiple times here. When we are trying to discuss with the Hibernate also, we got a same exception here. We got a same exception here. Now you can see it's not valid without a active transaction. Now what we can do? So to find out the active transaction here, so I think we already provided the active transaction here. Let me go to active transaction like configuration. So Hibernate transaction manager we are having, and enable transaction also we implemented. Enable transaction also we implemented here. But now what we can do, we'll go to our service class. Inside this particular service here, we can write the transactional. With the help of this particular transaction, now we'll see in the DAO how we implemented here. Get all here. And transaction commit here. Okay. So these are some information we need to add here to work on this particular transactions here. So we'll see the same exception we are going to get or not, because in the previously also we identified, and the exception we are we handle with the begin transaction here. Now what I want to write here, again I want to send in a request here. So now we are getting the different exception here. Now we are getting the different exception. If you see constant violation IMPL. Getting the point? So constant violation IMPL we are getting here. Getting the point? So customer email invalid. So this message coming from the where here? This particular message coming where here? So whatever the property we defined here, from the property we are getting an exception here. So why we are getting here? The validation, the constraint related example is not supporting in our REST APIs here, because we are not working with a column related or the particular field related example here. Directly we are working on the objects here. Getting the point? Directly we are working on the objects here. Now what you are understanding here, the validation is not going to work on our example here. So otherwise, so we'll try to find out the one more solution here. So we'll check with JSON@gmail.com. Now you can see now what you are understanding here. So whatever the email annotation we provided here, we did not provide the proper values here. Right now, so this is the 31. Here we are not providing any ID, but here we are getting an ID here. Now we can see whether this particular 31 record is inserted or not. Now we can see 31. So JSON@gmail.com, and JSON. Getting the point? So with the help of this particular Postman tool, we are able to save the data into the database. Now you can see the particular insert query here. Insert query inserted into our database here, right? So this is all about the post request to insert the data into the database here. Now finally, we need to work on the one more here. So to load this particular object here. So save customer we implemented just now. Now we need to work on the edit customer. To work on this particular edit customer, now what we can do? So is nothing but we'll try to load the object based on this particular ID. Now I want to give, so what is the request mapping? So we did not provide any request mapping here. So if I'm not providing here, simply we can go for the get method. And here ID. What is the ID we want to provide? So whatever the new record we inserted just now with the 31, I'm going to load the same record here. So let's see if I'm trying to click on one more time here. Now what happening here? Again we are getting an exception here. So convert Hibernate access exception here. Now you can see it's not valid with the transactions here. Getting the point? Hibernate, it is not associated with the transaction here. Now what you are understanding here, basically just now we identify the same exception here. So we handle with how we handle with this particular exception with help of this particular, where is a customer DO? We are trying to load customer object here. And here customer. And so this is also the delete is not going to provide much information. It is a void type here. Let me run one more time the same application here. I want to load an object here. Getting the point? Now observe here with help of this particular 31, whatever the object we saved here. So this is only the particular object we saved. So to understand more here, now what I will do, I will change here 24 here. Now you can see, so different object we are loading. 25. So whether we are having a record in the 25? Yes. Now you can see different record. Getting the pen. So this is the way we are trying to load an object here. So these many the select queries we are having. So is nothing but now the whatever the request we made from the postman. So it is now communicating with our application here. Getting the pen. And finally you can see the object information here. The object is stored into the 31 object here also. Right. The last information we need to work on the delete here. So to work with the delete here, now what we can do, what is the API we need to copy. So this we need to copy. Here, I want to give 31. What happened here? Null serializable modifiable something. ID related exception we are getting here. cannot access a sorry, the URL we given something, but still we are getting here. Now you can see, you can read this particular message, attempt to delete the event with a null entry. We are trying to delete the record with a null entry here. Okay, so to understand more about now what we can do, we'll go for our console. We'll understand the exception, what exactly we are getting here. So this is, I think this is the previous one. Attempt to create a delete event with a null entry. Okay, anything, the mapping we did not provide properly. Okay, so we are getting delete customer ID. Why the 31 is not there in our database? Yes, we are having. So let's see. Okay, the 31 record is not there here. So because of this, we are getting an exception here. But when this particular record is deleted here, when this particular record is deleted here, now this is we need to understand here. So to understand here, first what we can do, basically, let's see, maybe this condition is any matching here. Okay, okay, because of this also maybe it is matching. Now we'll change the particular method information. This particular method I want to work with delete here. Right? Now we'll see. Now we can understand. Okay, we'll work with debug on server. So we'll identify why we are getting an exception here. Okay. First we'll try to insert the record one more time. The same record I want to insert with JSON related here. With the help of this particular 32, the JSON record is inserted here. Getting the point. Now, so what we need to understand here, I want to delete this particular 32. And this 32 method is going to expect as a delete method, and will make as a like what we can call it as a breakpoint here, so that we can understand here how this particular delete is working. Now you can see from the postman I received, like I send in a request here. The request is received to our application here. So now we are inside the customer service dot get ID. Now what is happening internally, we need to understand here. So I click on the F6 here to move on the next line here. So it's trying to load the customer object here. So why? So this much time is taking. Something is happening. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Maybe it's taking long time here, but finally we're getting an object here. So what is an object we are trying to delete? Address JSON, email JSON @gmail.com, ID, and name JSON. Okay. Now what we will do, we'll click on again F6 here. Again we want to click on F6 here. Okay. So which is taking more time here. Why this much time is taking? Okay, maybe uh, com dot. So it is it's not related to our database issue or our application issue. It is because of our JSON related. While formatting this particular object here, we are getting a null because we are trying to returning. We are not returning anything. The delete method we are returning as a where the particular delete method we are returning as a null here. So in this case, now what we can do, so the API, if you observe, again we are getting an exception, but in the database, the 32 record is not available. The particular 32 record is not available here. Okay, so anyway, now what we will do, go to the home controller. So instead of void here, we'll return whatever the customer we want to returning here. Whatever the object we are loading, the same object will try to return here. Now I want to restart this particular server. Okay, maybe application is restarted. Yes. What we will do, again we'll send a request here with the 33. We'll delete a record here. Now you can see with the 33, we are getting an expected output. Now what you are understanding here, basically the problem here we are trying to returning empty here. Whenever we are calling this particular delete customer, we are returning void here. So because of this here, while converting like JSON, JSON, what it will do here, it will try to convert the object here. But the object we are not returning anything here. So because of this, we are getting some conversion exception here. Now the conversion exception we identify, we are not getting here. So first we are selecting and later we are deleting. Whatever the object we deleted here, so we are showing here 33. Now if I'm going to run with the database here, the 33 record is not available. The 33 record is not available here. Getting the point? So this is all about the REST API related simple example here. We need to, like, we are going to have more time when we are trying to discuss with our Spring Boot related example here. In the Spring Boot, we'll try to communicate with different REST APIs here. So Jetsi related REST API we are going to connect here, and we'll identify how exactly the different REST APIs are going to communicate here. Only the difference here we are working with the request mapping here in the real time. So you may not see this particular request mapping here. Sometimes you will see the get annotation, post annotation, getting the point. So those are coming from the different APIs here. So this also we'll discuss in our when we are trying to work on the Spring Boot example here. Okay. Now, so what we will do, as of now, we connected with example call REST API signed validation example. We'll see how we can send an email here, because while connecting our application here, we are having some email information. Here. So how we can send this particular email here. So for example, while creating this particular new customer here, now I'm going to create here something called, so Rajesh here, and this particular Rajesh we are going to provide Rajesh at the Gmail. So we need to send some welcome message. Getting the point. We need to send some welcome message to this particular Rajesh email ID. So how we can send this particular welcome message? So to send this particular information, now what we need to do? Basically, we need to work with so Gmail account here, and we need to enable some configurations here. So first we'll identify with the simple example. If it is not working properly, we need to go for the like Gmail settings, and we'll identify the configuration here. Okay, so first we'll see whether this particular user able to save or not. Name enter is invalid. It first to be 192 characters here. Why the name we provided the proper information only. There is a controller minimum 3, maximum 20. Is not empty. Okay. Okay. So anyway, we'll work on the API related example. So to work with this particular API related example, now what are the steps we need to write? The steps we need to write here, first here, we need to configure our example here, like okay, before going to configure, first we need to add jar here. So what is the jar we can add here? Java mail sender we need to add here. So where is the jar? We can go for it. Java mail API. So Java X dot Java API here. Right. So once we add this particular dependency, so first we need to check whether the dependence classes we are able to see or not. So Java mail. No. No. Maybe this is not the correct here. Java mail sender. Email config. No. Something. Okay. Let me check for this. Okay. org Spring Framework mail dot. Okay, default port and protocol. So these are the methods, right? But now Spring Framework, maybe context we are adding or not. Context we are adding. So whenever we are adding this particular context, we need to see in the Maven repository context. Okay, context support. Okay. So here JMX we are having here. UI validation. Okay. But what is the name of the class we need to add? Which is coming from the org mail. org Spring Framework mail. Cache mail. Okay. So we don't have this particular mail here. So this is not the correct one. Let me connect with the connect to support. Contact support we need to add. So we'll identify inside this particular contact support whether we are going to get the mail related information or not. This is contact here. This is all about the contact support. So we are having mail here. Okay. Simple mail message. Java mail sender, mail sender. Okay. So we are getting mail sender and mail sender IMPL. So this is the way we need to identify the each dependencies here, because we cannot add all the dependencies. So we don't want to add the all the dependencies. What are the required dependencies we need? So those information we can add. So finally, now I want to move customer service IMPL. So while saving this particular customer service IMPL, I want to implement the, like I want to send an email here. So to send this particular email, now what we can do, first we'll go for the configuration class. Here, public Java mail sender and Java mail sender, and internally Java mail sender IMPL. Okay. So this is all about the sender IMPL. Now what I will do, return mail sender. But if you observe, this particular mail sender will expect multiple properties here. First we'll provide the host here. So what is a like email? What is the Gmail we are going to communicate here? The particular host we need to specify. And here smtp.gmail.com. So this is our host here, and mail sender dot port here. So port maybe we'll see first with the 25. If it is working fine, otherwise we need to find out the Gmail port. Okay. And here mail sender dot username. So what exactly the username we are having now? So don't copy this username information. So just for a example, I want to copy here. So Java technology 4 year @gmail.com, right? And mail sender dot set password. So this is password, right? And we need to provide the properties here. Getting the point? So we need to provide the properties here. So how we can provide the properties here? So mail sender properties here. Now you can see which is expecting property object here. So we need to create the properties first. We need to create the properties first. So to create this particular properties, now what we can do, sorry, not Gmail. Here, property object here. Finally, let me copy this. Property dot put here. So what are the information we need to put here? So we are having some information we need to put, like some of the basic Gmail related properties. These are the like what we can do. Mail dot. So this particular protocol, like what exactly the protocol we are going to identify here. So let's see. Anything we are having in the previous example. Okay, where I copied. Okay. I think in the previous example I explained. So anyway, we'll try to find out here. Mail dot transport. So this is the transport protocol we need to provide, and the protocol, the value we need to provide as a SMTP. And another one, mail dot SMTP dot authentication. Mail dot debug. So this particular debug also I want to enable. This particular debug also I want to enable. And so final one, we'll see if I'm going to get any other exception. So those the another parameter we'll add. Okay, so this is, let me make with a bean here. Getting the point. And this is all about the particular bean here. Now finally, we are going to create with our simple bean here. How this particular simple bean is going to identify here. We want to work on the simple bean configuration here. So this is just for configuration to connect with our Gmail account here. And the second one we are creating here to connect with our, with the help of the username and password, how we are going to send here. Okay, observe. So public simple mail sender, simple mail message, and we'll copy same here. Right. Now observe. So we are trying to create a simple mail message here, and using this particular message dot. Now you can see, so here we can provide the BCC, CC from to, getting the point. So these many information we can provide, and so from which email ID I want to provide, the information here, something called, so Java technology 4@gmail.com. Okay, so this particular two I will add later here. Getting the point. And message dot set text here. So what is a text message we want to provide? Welcome to what is the application we can provide? Customer portal. Okay. And return message. And to and subject we can change here when we are trying to connect with our application here. So this is all about the simple configuration here. And once we configure here, now what we can do inside this particular service, I want to create one more class called email service. Inside this particular email service, let me make as a first service annotation. And later what we will do, we'll go for the two classes here. Private Java mail sender and simple mail message. Right? And on top of these two classes, what we can do, we need to provide the auto void. Right? So once we provide here, now what we can do, send mail here. So this particular mail here, what are the information? String to subject, and we want to add any body, we can add here. So the text already we provided here. So these two are the enough here. This is a method we are creating here. So like from to which to whom we want to send this particular mail, we need to provide, and what exactly the subject here. Getting the point. Now observe, after creating this particular information, now what we can do, so with the help of this particular simple message, where is the to, and I want to set to, and subject to subject here. Finally dot send here. Okay. So these are the information we need to provide. Okay. Now this send mail will call from the customer service IMPL. Private here, what we can call it as a email service. Email service. So while saving this particular customer here, email service dot to, and here customer dot get email, and subject here. So as of now, so we don't have subject here. Simply we can provide subject is equals to subject, so that we can understand. So what we are adding inside the subject, right? And make it here auto void. Here we need to provide the auto void. Now I want to run this particular application. Okay, so we are getting in this particular page here, and name address is invalid. Why? Okay. Oh, we need to debug this. So why we are getting this objects here? We'll go to the where we define controller. Inside the customer controller, we'll put a breakpoint. So we'll start from the debug mode. Why we are getting again? And oh, so this is not calling here. We are running with the debug or normal. Sorry, I forget to run. Name entered is invalid, must be 192 characters. So if it is not coming, something we are having. Okay, maybe the class is not calling here. Array. What are the information we are getting here? Target customer, object field call address, rejected value null, not empty, customer address not empty. Default to message source resolver. Address is invalid. Okay. Evaluation must contain the expression or okay. Conversion service. Mistake. Think. True. Okay. Here we are not getting objects here. Why we are not getting? Let me go to anything we changed here. Post method, model customer, and submit here. So we'll see, maybe it's because of the encrypt here. Yes. Now we are getting an object here. Now we need to see false. Okay. Now we are saving the customer information. We'll move here. Okay. And work with the process. We'll put a breakpoint here. Okay. To whom we are sending a message? rajach@gmail.com. So we need to see any exception we are going to get. Is SSL false here. So successfully loaded here. Table, so SMTP provider trying to connect with the host here. So we need to wait, I think, because once this particular host, okay, we are getting an exception. What we are missing? Mail sender exception we are getting. Connection timeout. Okay, so all are connection timeout only. No problem. Now what we can do, without this particular debug, we'll try to send a request here. Oh, sorry. Okay, now here, what is the email I can provide? Okay, first we'll see with the same email ID only whether it is going to connect or not. Click on delete. Okay. So again we are getting a connection. Maybe so SMTP is not responding, I think. SMTP host could not connect with the SMTP host 25. Okay. So we'll see what is the new post here. We need to connect with Google only here. Maybe the 25 is not working here. We need to see. Okay, 587 connection SMTP DOR friend call contact support expression logging Java mail. Okay, we are having everything here. What we are missing here, the properties here. So we added protocol authentications. So we need to add this. Port to 465. We'll copy this 4 remaining properties and we'll change with the port here. We'll see Maybe I think it's going to work on the 587. Okay, stop the server. Configuration class. Enable this. Okay, maybe the debug we already added. SS also we are enabling. Finally, 587. I am not sure whether this particular email ID is available or not. So just to testing purpose, I'm using it. Again, 587, it is failing here. No appropriate protocol is visible. Failed to nested exception. Messaging exception could not connect to SFTP host 587. Any other? No appropriate protocol. Protocol is disabled or ZIP2. Could not connect with SMTP. No appropriate protocol. Protocol is disabled. It is inappropriate. Okay. We'll check with the different port we identified. Something called 465. Okay. Now we'll see. Okay. Same exception we are getting here. Maybe I need to identify what is exactly the SNTP port for the Gmail here. So this is we can discuss in our tomorrow session here. Okay. Basically the configuration is same. So far what we configure here. Only it's because of this particular port is not connecting properly, and we need to identify what is exactly the port we are having. So based on this, so we can connect with our Gmail. We can send a mail also. Okay. So any questions regarding today's session except with this particular mail sender? Okay. If we don't have anything here, we'll continue tomorrow. So once this particular SMTP completed, we'll check with the JMS concepts here, and later we'll go for the Spring security here. Okay. So we'll continue tomorrow.